Listen up, Chicago, because the Midway is buzzing with some heavy smoke that could change everything for our beloved monsters of the Midway. One of the most important pieces of our future franchise was just hit with news that nobody saw coming, and it might mess with the whole vision for this season. You need to stay locked in because what Ryan Poles is cooking behind the scenes is absolute madness. Before we dive into the grit, hit that subscribe button right now to join the most loyal Bears family. Ryan Poles is making it clear to everyone in the league that the Chicago Bears are not playing around when it comes to fixing this defensive front once and for all. Analysts are screaming from the rooftops that this front office is laser-focused on snagging an elite run stuffer in the upcoming draft to anchor that line. We are talking about a massive body in the middle that can eat up blocks and let our linebackers fly to the ball without getting touched. Inside Halas Hall, the vibe is all about getting back to that classic Chicago identity where teams are terrified to even try running the rock against us. This kid from the draft class who can plug those gaps is exactly what this scheme needs to take the next step into playoff contention. And here's the scary part for the rest of the NFC North. Because if this GM lands the right guy, we are looking at a brick wall defense that will force quarterbacks into mistakes all game long. It is the kind of move casual fans might ignore because it is not a flashy wideout or a speedy corner. But real football heads know this is where championships are won and lost in the trenches. This is how dynasties are built in the NFL, and the city is ready for it. Now think about this because the ripples of this decision will be felt for years to come. Chicago has always been about that grit and that toughness in the middle of the field, and it looks like we are finally heading back to our roots under this regime. Imagine a scenario where the Lions and the Packers can't even pick up 2 yards on 3rd and short because our new defensive anchor is living in their backfield. That is the vision being sold right now, and it has the entire city buzzing with energy. We need that force in the middle to protect our lead and keep the clock moving in our favor when the weather turns cold in the Windy City. It is a strategic masterclass. But what the Bears are planning to do next with the young talent already on the roster is where things get really interesting. Yo! If you believe Ryan Poles is building a monster in Chicago, smash that like button right now and tell me in the comments who you want us to draft. Austin Booker is officially the name on everybody's lips right now inside the building as internal reports are basically glowing about his development during this offseason phase. This kid has been showing out in a way that has the coaching staff thinking they might have found a diamond in the rough that can wreck games. We are seeing a massive jump in his physical presence and his understanding of the system, which makes him a key piece for the evolution of this roster moving forward. Every time he steps onto the field, it seems like he is making another play that catches the eyes of the decision makers. It gets even better because his work ethic is being described as second to none, and that is exactly what you want to hear about a young defender in the 312. He is emerging as a legitimate factor that could change the rotation on that defensive line and give us that extra edge we have been craving. And inside the building, this raised serious expectations for what he can contribute when the lights come on. This is the kind of move casual fans don't understand until they see him sacking quarterbacks on 3rd down, but the hype is very real. You can feel the energy building around this standout prospect, and it is only a matter of time before he becomes a household name for every Bears fan. The reports suggest he has been hitting the weight room harder than anyone else, and his speed off the edge is becoming a problem for the offensive linemen in practice sessions. If he continues on this trajectory, we are looking at a breakout star who can provide the pass rush help we desperately need to complement our secondary. It is a beautiful thing to see a young player put in the work and get the recognition he deserves from the people who matter most. But while the defense is getting stronger, the offensive side of the ball just got hit with a curveball that might change how our new leader has to play the game. Is Austin Booker going to be our next sack leader? Let me know your predictions below, and don't forget to sub for more daily Bears updates. Caleb Williams is the face of this franchise, but a brand new proposal for a rule change in the league could be a major headache for his specific style of play or the way the team planned to build around him. This news just dropped, and it has analysts wondering if the league is trying to nerf the exact kind of mobility and creativity that makes this quarterback so special. We were all expecting a smooth transition into this new era, but this rule change could throw a massive wrench into the gears of the offensive machine we are trying to build here in Chicago. The planning around him has to be airtight, and if the league moves the goalposts on what is allowed or how certain plays are officiated, it could force a total rethink of the playbook. It is frustrating to see because you want your star to have every advantage, but now the staff has to account for these potential negative impacts on his game. Now think about this, because if this rule goes through the way some insiders expect, it could limit the very things that made us trade everything to get him in the first place. But it gets worse because the timing of this proposal couldn't be more awkward as we try to install a new system. The pressure is on the coaching staff to find a workaround before the season kicks off, because we cannot afford any setbacks for the future of the Bears. We need him to be comfortable and confident in the pocket and out of it, but these new restrictions might make him think twice before pulling the trigger on a big play. It is a situation that requires a lot of focus, and the front office is already looking at ways to mitigate the damage. This is the kind of obstacle that tests the great ones, and the city is watching closely to see how he handles this unexpected challenge. Looking at these three massive updates, it is clear that the Chicago Bears are at a critical crossroads this offseason. On one hand, you have Ryan Poles staying true to the Chicago DNA by prioritizing a dominant run defense, which is honestly the most Bears thing ever, and I love it. You cannot win in the cold at Soldier Field if teams can just run the ball down your throat, so getting an elite run stuffer is a genius move for the long-term health of this defense. Then you add the explosive growth of a kid like Austin Booker, and suddenly this defensive line looks like it could be one of the deepest units we have had in years. The internal hype for him suggests that the developmental staff is actually hitting on these mid to late round picks, which is how you sustain success in this league. However, the big cloud hanging over all this is the situation with Caleb Williams and these potential rule changes. If the NFL changes the rules in a way that hampers modern mobile quarterbacks, it puts a massive burden on our coaching staff to adapt quickly. This isn't just about one player, it is about the entire offensive philosophy that we have invested so much draft capital and hope into. We are seeing a tug of war between the league's evolving rules and our team's specific roster construction. The Bears have to be smarter than the rest of the league here. They need the defense to be so dominant that it takes the pressure off the offense while they navigate these new hurdles. This is the chess match of the NFL, and right now Chicago is moving its pieces with a very specific vision in mind. At the end of the day, Chicago Bears fans should be feeling a mix of intense excitement and a little bit of nervous energy. The foundation being laid by the front office is solid, and seeing young talent emerge like this is exactly what we need to finally get back to the top of the NFC North. But we can't ignore the challenges that are popping up from the league office, because they could change the trajectory of our season before it even starts. This is not just another draft cycle or another off-season workout program. This is the beginning of what could be a historic era for the monsters of the Midway. We have the GM, we have the young stars, and we have the defensive identity forming right before our eyes. The question is, can we overcome the external factors and let our star quarterback shine despite the rules? This is the kind of drama that makes being a Bears fan so incredible. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments, because this news is heavy. Do you think the rule change is a real threat to our season, or is our guy too good to be stopped? Smash that like button if you believe we are heading for a Super Bowl run, and don't forget to subscribe, because we are just getting started with this coverage. Bear down!